bear for class winners. And back in 1973, there was nothing that said, I've made it, quite like a Cadillac Fleetwood Eldorado convertible. If you were driving this car, it said you are rich and you could do just about anything with impunity. From Texas oil barons to Main Street financial downtown wizards, the Eldorado convertible was the car to have. The 1973 Cadillac Fleetwood Eldorado convertible was Cadillac's personal luxury car. At 222 inches long, it's actually 20 inches longer than a new Cadillac Escalade. It's actually about the same length as the suburban-sized Escalade ESV. I mean, there's a lot of personal space here. This luxury came at a pretty steep price. In 1973, this Eldorado had $1,641 in extra options, and it carried a full sticker price of well over $9,300. And to put that into perspective, that was the cost of 3 brand new Ford Mustang Mach 1s. Over 300,000 Cadillacs were sold in 1973, and that was a record. And that's over 2 times the number of Cadillacs sold in the American market last year. About 9,300 of these were Cadillac Eldorado convertibles. But it's just one of about 200 in this beautiful Georgian silver. Inside, it's unmistakable Cadillac. You've got seating for 6 or 5 with the armrest down, and tons of options and little touches to separate it from Buick and Olds and Chevy and Pontiac. The rosewood trim, well, that was new for 1973. And the interesting thing is that some of these options are really expensive. Like the automatic climate control, which thermostatically puts on the heat and air conditioning, plus the cost of this AM/FM 8-track stereo, well, it was darn near together about half the cost of a brand new Chevy Vega. There's also multi-speed wipers, cruise control, power top with rear defroster, even a power antenna. The seats, well, there's 6-way power adjust. For 1973, this had a lot of content. Now, compared to a modern BMW or Mercedes, sedan, yeah, this is more like driving in your grandparents' living room. You go around a corner and your whole body wants to slide, but Cadillac was the standard of the world. The Fleetwood Eldorado returned to the Cadillac lineup in 1967 on the Toronado front-wheel drive platform. And at that point, they got rid of the convertible. The convertible came back in 1971, replaced the rear-wheel drive DeVille. Powering the front wheels in this car is Cadillac's top dog engine, the 500, that's 8.2 liter V8. Now, by 1973, not only had GM reduced the compression ratios across the board in their engines, but in 1972, they actually went from reporting gross horsepower to net horsepower. So 235 horsepower doesn't sound like a lot, but it's got a stump pulling amount of torque. In fact, it's 385 foot-pounds of torque. And in terms of gross, it's dang close to 500 foot-pounds. In reality, this is such a great engine that with really minimal work, racers have been known to get some pretty extreme power out of them. They were an engine of choice for land speed record vehicle. The top speed in this car, well, rated at just shy of 120 miles an hour. Now, back in my high school days, I was a little more apt to take 1970s land yachts into triple digits, but I learned that they get a little floaty and dangerous around 110. So even though this thing is built for interstates and rural highways, it's not built for running with Porsche 911s on the Autobahn. In terms of outright acceleration, well, think of it as the fastest offensive lineman in the NFL. I mean, he's fast compared to his contemporaries in his little niche, but compared to all the other segments, it's not even a contest. I mean, with 5,300 pounds sitting on its wheels right now, including my American pie-eating butt, yeah, it's a lot for the front wheels to be pulling. One thing to be going fast, but with so much weight, you better be able to reel it in. And let's just say, it's a little sketchy. There are discs up front, drums in the rear, and like most cars from the 1970s, well, they fade faster than the current top 40 pop star. You don't want to be caught going down from the Continental Divide in this thing, or be doing hot laps around San Francisco's hilly Nob Hill district. It's just a lot of weight for old braking technology. But give it some time, give it some distance, it'll get you stopped. Just be prepared. I guess that makes it fun. When you're talking about handling, this thing is about as floaty and detached as an aircraft carrier. I mean, there's a torsion bar suspension up front, leaf springs in the back, and the steering, well, it's very typical GM non-communicative. I mean, really, it's less communicative than a person on a heroin overdose. I mean, you just don't really know what's going on up there, and there's a lot of weight. I mean, this is a 5,300 pound car, and so you better not drive it like a sports car. You may wind up with hubcaps going into the ditch. But in all, compared to its contemporaries, it's not all that bad. You'll get around the corner. You just got to remember, you've got a lot of weight up there. Inevitably, somebody's going to ask, well, what kind of fuel mileage does it get? Well, let's put it this way. There's a 27-gallon fuel tank back there. Evidently, it's supposed to be rated at 8 miles per gallon. But realistically, owners have gotten around 12 in mixed driving. That's pretty par for the course for most V8s of the 1970s. Look, at the end of the day, there were a million convertibles from the 60s and 70s that you can get and have a similar driving experience. But Cadillacs are Cadillacs. And there's just something about this that makes you feel like a boss hog. Like, you want to mount horns on the front of it. It just has so much character that even a guy like I am can pull out an old cowboy hat and just feel like I'm having fun. It's a great ride. It brings me back.